Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are taking a look at the trailer for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is another show in the Game of Thrones universe that HBO decided that we needed. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're slowly getting up there in terms of subs. We've got a lot of content, out there. So if you're enjoying what we're doing, remember to hit the like button and subscribe because we've got a lot of things in the pipeline that we're waiting for you to join us in future months. But it seemed like yesterday that they announced that House of the Dragon was coming out after Game of Thrones ended, and now they've decided, well, let's give us an adaptation of a bunch of novellas about the adventures of Duncan Egg, and we'll just call it A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms because why not?
What is this? I don't even know what this is about.
Well, I'll say this because on Amazon, as you've been so vociferous in your criticism, the Rings of Power are based on the Silmarillion and other stories that Tolkien wrote that were set outside of the timeline of Lord of the Rings, right? So as much as we want to bash Rings of Power, at least we know what the story is about in Rings of Power, whereas here it's just basically about a knight wandering the Seven Kingdoms, and I guess he's doing the sort of like Lone Ranger kind of thing. Maybe he's like a Ronin looking for a master. I don't know.
Sure. Okay. Whatever. Sure.
But the guy who's playing Ser Duncan, he is an Irish rugby player. So
perfect. I'm sure he'll be a great actor.
Well, let's watch the trailer and you can give your assessment, Lee, on this thing. It comes out January 18th.
So, Ser Duncan the Tall.
They don't have anything else to call him other
How good
than
a
the
night are you?
We'll see. It's this way. Came for the tourney?
Journey is a contest for knights. You a knight?
I'm no farmer.
Yet you've come dressed as one.
Sir, I could squire you. And you could teach me. Every knight needs a squire.
No.
You look like you need one more than most.
No.
Sir Erlen
No,
raised
come
me to
on.
be a true knight, not with sword or lance, but with honor. And I swore that I would.
What's this? It's a hedge knight, ain't it? What? It's like a knight, but sadder.
We're not sad.
They would look like a comedy.
If I
Is
could
this
call
like
myself a champion,
Game of
some
Thrones?
great house might take me into its service. Perhaps even House Targaryen.
Targaryens, they're incestuous aliens and tyrants.
I'm glad we can't
Ser
have a
Duncan the
Game of
Tall.
Thrones here, so don't talk about like
Everyone would
Targaryen.
like your head.
Right?
Maybe the gods figure this is what I deserve.
Come on, little knight.
And so, I ask you again, how good a knight are you?
You may be wise to run.
Won't they kill me if I run?
Won't they kill you anyway?
Ask by the kid's balls.
With honor.
Is that like a passing to ask? Am I allowed to ask that?
the noble
This is the guy-
houses of Westeros! And there are no true knights among you! Was that ill-handled? Right, yeah.
Well, it's not. So wait, Netflix bought HBO, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to keep track of these things nowadays.
Yeah, I think that was part of the whole Warner Brother thing. So, that's interesting. Now, I wonder what it's going to do with all these projects that are out there. But I guess this isn't a Netflix buying all these stuff up discussion. But man, I just don't even like. Okay, cool. We bring in House of the Dragon, fine, whatever. I don't know chronologically. Is this between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones? Is this? I know it's a prequel. How far back is it on the timeline, though?
Well, it said 100 years before Game of Thrones, so
Okay. Do you know where House of the Dragon is on the timeline?
maybe 50 years before Game of Thrones. I don't know.
Okay, so this is so this is a prequel to the prequel of some other series we have out there. Sure. Okay. I mean,
It's kind of hard to keep track after a while because it's like they just keep going back and back and back, and it's like, well, I mean, how far back are you going to go? Are you going to go back to the Doom of Valyria? Like, is that where we're going, or what? That's what I don't get.
I don't get what's up with the child with no hair. Like, I don't want to be rude, but like it kind of sticks out in the story. I'm like, okay, I wonder why that child's bald. Kind of sticks out. There's all this
Well,
stuff going on.
well, according to the novellas, that bald kid is supposed to be, King Aegon. So I guess he's shaving his head so people don't recognize him as a Targaryen, because Targaryens do have a particular look about them. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Okay, I can deal with that. So that actually kind of
But
sits
then
with me. That makes sense.
But then the question becomes, why would a member of the House Targaryen go, wandering about the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros as a squire when, he's in House Targaryen, like
Good point. But hey, I guess that's what we have this whole story for, is for us to dive into that. I mean,
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is famous for for explaining everything in detail and closing all those loose ends that we've had so many questions about.
Too soon. Still too soon, I think. So, but I mean, it doesn't really strike a chord with me, right? Because when you already have other prequels, right? I just feel like it dilutes the product, and it's at the stage where I think everyone kind of knows by now how Game of Thrones ended, and the masses all said like, "Hey, we didn't really like this," right? So you didn't really leave the audience wanting more. Well, I guess you did leave them wanting more because you try to fast forward through the whole final season. What I mean is, like, you didn't really earn people wanting more because of how things ended. So then you try to like recreate these other things that are kind of loosely based in the universe, and it's like, you know what? I mean, is the whole universe cool, right, for Game of Thrones? Sure. Is it something I want to keep going back to the well of? Not really. I just don't think that it has anything going for it. I just don't really know. It's like, I don't know. I just don't care personally.
Well,
it just
well, I
doesn't
mean,
really me.
Well, I mean, keep in mind too, when Game of Thrones first came out, I mean, it had, it took a while for it to catch on because it came out in 2011, 2012-ish. I didn't jump on the bandwagon until like 4 years later, really. So
I was there season one.
I mean, when they're doing House of the Dragon and now A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, they're really appealing to that niche audience. Those diehard fans who were there from the very beginning, such as yourself, and saying, well, if you're interested in what's going on in Westeros before the whole Robert's Rebellion and and the War of the Three Kings and all that crap, then here you go. I mean, turns out George R.R. Martin had written a lot of books, back in the 90s, and we're just getting around to adapting them for TV because he's not going to give us any more crap. So we might as well just take the stuff he wrote, decades before and, make a show out of him or two.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Because everyone's like, hey, George, can you please just complete what's already out there for Game of Thrones, before you croak? Because unfortunately, we know it's been a long time since that last book came out. So, but I guess we'll just see what happens. But yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I didn't have a ton of interest into, I guess, seeing any more of this. So I just doesn't really strike a chord with me anymore. So
was it because of season 8 that kind of like destroyed any goodwill that this show had built over its run, or what?
Well, yeah, that definitely is a part of it, right? It absolutely destroyed a lot of goodwill that it had because of the way it ended. But even with that being said, right, I think there's plenty of really good shows, really good stories, really good movies that happen where you're able to just enjoy what it is that they created. And that's that, right? We don't need to have all this other stuff, right? You're not, to me, telling an interesting enough story to really pull me into anything else. So it always is going to have the problem of you're going to compare it to the original one. And for a lot of these, it doesn't compare very well to the original. Now, House of the Dragon, I like it, right? I'm not saying anything negative about it. I think it's, good for what it is, but it's also not something where I'm like, oh, I have to, I need it now, right? I don't need to see any more of it. I was happy with what we got. I don't even know when the next one's coming or if it's coming out at this stage. I have no idea because it's been so far between when the seasons come out. But I never really watched it oh, I gotta see what's next type of thing. So I mean, to your point, right? There's a niche of people that enjoy it. I'm not saying that the Game of Thrones universe is not cool or doesn't have cool things be a part of it. I just don't. I'm not invested enough to be brought back into this world. It's not doing enough for me to be like, hey, cool. I really want to see more. So it's to me gonna be. I'll watch it, right? Because it's going to be a big production, right? I have a lot of faith that it's going to have a lot of, good quality. I mean, just seeing some of the set pieces and everything, it looks like it's going to have a lot backing it. But, it's just going to look nice. And I don't know too much more about it.
Well, I mean, at least for House of the Dragon, it does have some relevancy because a lot of the stuff that they do kind of, leads to what we see, in season 1 of Game of Thrones and what they reference. Whereas here, it's well, it's just a guy, wandering around the continent of Westeros. What exactly is he doing? My bigger question is, are they going to use the same theme like they did for House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones? Or are they going to, at least try to attempt a different theme tune this time around? You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm most curious to see. I mean, I shouldn't say that hyperbolically because there's a lot of things I'm curious about. But I mean, I'm very curious to see how well. What is it? The guy that was it Peter Claffey? I'm looking. That plays Ser Duncan there. I'm very curious to see.
Yeah, he's a former rugby player. Yeah.
Which, like I said, I'm not throwing any shade at all at anyone that does stuff like that, right? We absolutely have people that, go into different things. So I don't really know him much from anything that he's done. I do see he's done a few things out there, but I'm not familiar with it. So I will be curious to see how well he does because, it seems like, everything's to be kind of revolving around him. So obviously it's going to carry a lot of weight, right? Where I think for something like Game of Thrones or, even something like House of the Dragon, you have a lot of different people that kind of carry the weight of the narrative, right? Is this something that's going to be similar or is it really going to be hyper-focused more on kind of these two characters? So it'll be kind of interesting to see where the story goes.
Well, I mean, the characters would have to be really compelling in order for us to care about them,
Sure.
But also,
absolutely.
I mean, seeing this trailer, because I watched this trailer twice before we did our reaction to it, it kind of feels like, for me, it kind of feels like they still want us to stay on the Game of Thrones, hype train, right? It got really big, in the 2010s, and it started to peter out after season 8. And House of the Dragon was yeah, you remember? Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna make this really big. We're gonna make a comeback here. And it really didn't go anywhere. It didn't have the same level of hype as Game of Thrones did. And now it just feels like, they're still trying to keep the party going. But it's well, nobody's having fun anymore. It's just dull. I mean, what else can you add to this universe, really?
Yep. People gotta be careful, right? Don't you had a great thing there. Don't run it into the ground because that's unfortunately gonna be what a lot of people remember. Is remember when it was good? Remember when we had Game of Thrones? That's where you start to get into that conversation, right? Because you brought up Ring of Power. I mean, that's a perfect example of Lord of the Rings being, super iconic, so many accolades and praise for it. And then now you kind of have a little bit of a mark there with Rings of Power and how they're adapting that, and it's just might not be helpful, or it's not going to be increasing or making the brand any better. So, but hey, you never know, right? I've been surprised before. It won't be the first nor last time I've been wrong about something. So it looks like this comes out in January, and actually I think the new House of the Dragon comes out next year as well, season 3. So don't know the exact dates for that, but looks like if you're a fan of House or a fan of the Game of Thrones universe, you're going to get 2 different things coming out next year.
Well, that is something we will have to take a look at a later date and time. But let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts are. Are you excited for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, or do you feel like this has just gone on too long and you kind of wish, hey, George, just write the last novel and get it over with? But other than that, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Have a safe and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we'll get back to you sometime next year. Bye.